Hey, what's up? It's your boy Spank Dog, aka Puffinstein at YouTube. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You already know. BC Spank Dog at Instagram, Puffinstein 514 at Twitch, and Robert Lopez at Facebook. You already know. Alright, so we about to get into some strange stuff going on with the pyramids, and I had seen so many things involving UFOs and stuff being in the sky that I was almost 100%. I almost believed it 100%. And then I found out that there was a group saying that they were going to try to trick all of us into believing that there was an alien invasion coming. That's when I got grounded again and got brought back down to earth. Not saying I don't believe, but I'm just not saying that I believe 100% to the point where I'd swear that they're here and be ready to bet or fight over it. That's not the case no more. But since I was kind of hipped to the fact that they might try to trick us, not saying that they were, not saying that they weren't. Now there's some new stuff going on where they're discovering things in Giza. They're in the pyramids. There's a particular pyramid where they're traveling down underneath it, and they're saying they're discovering things they never discovered before, and that they've even found a particular person's tomb that it's hard to believe. And it might just tie into their whole trying to bring in, if you believe in the New World Order, which a lot of people do, and even the people that are not into it, they say, I wouldn't be shocked if it exists. Well, a lot of people are saying or would say that this would be a way to try to maybe implement that. So without further ado, we're going to get into it.
We are going to be looking at some creepy videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. Oh yes, every video I like to go ahead and start off with a creepy news story of the day, and then I look at
this my man Minutes of Horror. He has another channel named Seconds of Horror. Go check him out. I definitely like to shout out the people that I do the videos on, and definitely got to hit also for my channel. Like I said, hit the like button so it could get in the algorithm, please. Thank you. Also share, especially the music videos. The music videos I'm very proud of. Those are my 100% lyrics. I've been putting out music for years, and it's better than people think. And I get crazy messages, and I don't want to take up much time about this, but check out the music. One of the reasons why people don't know how good we are is because we've never had advertisement or promotion. And the minute we paid for promotion and advertisement, I seen people taking a liking to our music. I got 3 videos with my brother, and I got 15 videos with myself. All right, go check those out
on other social media platforms. Like the cool kids say these days, I want to go ahead and see what's popping. And I found a news story that reminds me of a news story that I covered on cool kids say these days. I want to go ahead and see what's popping. And I found
I want to see what's popping.
A news story that reminds me of a news story that I covered on Minutes of Horror months ago. Does anybody remember that very odd news story about tunnels under New York City?
I don't know if any of you guys seen this, but the dudes were trying to get in the sewer and they came close, very close. I'm gonna let him explain.
Well, it seems like it happened again.
Well, the 5 people involved in this were all wearing safety vests, and they...
Well, rather, I'm gonna let Eileen Palmer from Pix 11 News explain. You're in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn right now.
Actually stopped traffic here on 17th Avenue before many of them then climbed down that manhole. Police investigating what they were up to.
That's pretty wild.
Lou marveling at the stunt pulled off by a crew of people posing as DEP workers.
I like this guy because he's caught in a little bit of a, live right now, and he's from the community, so he don't want to talk bad about the dudes, but crazy, but at the same time he wants to stand up for his neighborhood. Keeps it official.
Take a look at this video now being reviewed by police as part of their investigation. You see a total of 5 people, some of them with tools, walk up to a manhole on 17th Avenue in Bensonhurst and open it up.
Look at that. They look like a smart crew.
After several members of the crew had entered the sewer system, police say 26-year-old Shawan Thompson then covered up the manhole and kept watch, sitting in this folding chair on the side of the street. They almost got away with it, but something didn't look right to many people in this neighborhood, and calls were made to 911.
That's not the neighborhood that you can just roll up in and costume. They stick together in Benson.
Explore the most captivating destinations.
They need a little more, they need some cones and stuff like that to make them look more professional. And this neighborhood is always looking out for each other. So when you see something like that, 4 people jumping in a sewer and then maybe one closing it, it doesn't look right.
Police responded, and Janine, who works nearby, says it took several hours for cops to pull the men out of the sewer. In the end, police arrested and charged not only Shawan Thompson, but 25-year-old Zion McKenzie and 39-year-old Willie
I wonder
Green.
who made the call. Like, angered or nothing. I'm just saying, like, it was up to no good. Somebody called, what it is. But what I'm saying is that I wonder who finally was like, yo, this ain't right. And they were like, yo, you got somebody down here. He looks like the city worker, but I don't know. I don't like, he had to buy into what he was thinking to say, you know what, I'm pull the trigger on the phone call. You know,
it happened early in my shift, and I figured like an hour it would be, but by the time I left, around like they were still here.
So what was the point of going down the manhole? The NYPD is still investigating the motive, but residents say detectives who returned to the scene told them they're looking into whether the suspects were searching traps in the sewers that sometimes catch valuable jewelry.
It's very surprising, but you know what? These criminals are very smart these days.
Janine says they were all thinking the worst when it all unfolded around 5 Monday evening.
I've never heard of pet goat or I pet goat, like the first time, because he talks about it right now.
And God forbid, like just like what if they're like, you know, bomb or something. But
I think he had to be careful, you know, the way he the layout, because people will get mad over nothing. And why I think you're seeing this early, but you know, Sahara, he's the man.
Yeah, never know.
From terrorist attack to robbing a bank, but why would you terrorist attack in the sewer on our way?
Yeah, I don't think it was that in the sewer. I think they were looking for something.
Doesn't make sense.
The 3 people now arrested are charged with burglary for entering the sewer system, as well as possession of burglary tools and criminal mischief. We are here in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. Eileen LaPalmer, Pix 11 News.
What really stood out to me about this story was the fact that when police pulled these men out of the sewers, they had nothing on them but tools. They don't know why they were down there, but they had tools. And if you remember that story months ago, the tunnels under New York City, that's what those men had. They had tools. We were also told months ago when it came to other story that the synagogue hired Mexicans to work and expand.
You see, now it like caught to itself with the and the audio, but you know that so he could do the video for us, and you know the minutes of horror. You know, he wouldn't have did that little maneuver with the visual and the audio, we wouldn't be watching this right now.
And on those tunnels. And I just wonder if these men are a part of a group of men hired to work and expand on more tunnels. I do not, without a shadow of a doubt, believe that that story from months ago ended right there with arrest. I am definitely going to go ahead and keep my eye on this story, but I
see this weird. Like the synagogue started digging underneath their own synagogue. I don't know what's this clear to me. I couldn't know what was going on here 100% because this is in New York City. You know, I'm gonna do a little rewind. I want to see this little part again.
We were also told months ago when it came to other story that the synagogue hired Mexicans to work and expand on those tunnels. And I just wonder if these men are a part of a group of men hired to work and expand on more tunnels. I do not, without a shadow of a doubt, believe that that story from months ago ended right there with arrest. I am definitely going to go ahead and keep my eye on this story, but I think it's going to end right there. I do not think we're going to get any more updates, but you never know. In this next,
you think there could be something under New York? Like, you ever think people that laid out New York might not have went down far enough, and if we would have maybe went lower, there would have been some sort of archaeological discovery? I don't know.
I was going to go ahead and do a much larger video on this subject because I have been noticing a lot of new discoveries coming out of Egypt lately. Matter of fact, I have been noticing so much news surrounding Egypt and the pyramids lately, I even took to Reddit. I posted this. Anyone notice we are getting a lot of Egypt news lately involving discoveries?
Yeah.
And a lot of people agreed. 259 upvotes, 71 comments. So somebody said to me, before you go ahead and make that video, make sure to check out iPad Go 2 because it has very interesting imagery towards the end. And if you don't know what iPad Go 2 is, it's an animation that came out, I believe, 12 years ago that has a lot of symbology and hidden messages.
You see, these kind of things can't be overlooked. Certain things, this is just a cartoon. It's just bugged out because, cartoons are always wall of the story and, because kids' mind, and they want to entertain. But then there's stuff like this and something looks a little like he's going to show right now. Watch.
In regards to today's world. What is also interesting is that the creators of this animation re-released iPad Go 2 a year ago as if to say you may want to watch this again. I went ahead and watched the video and something instantly stood out to me. Towards the middle of the film, you can see this Jesus-like figure riding an Egyptian boat. Now he is asleep for the remainder of the film until the very end. When he opens his eyes, you can see behind him religions start to crumble. You can see the cross crumbling. But in front of him, he awakens at the pyramids. The Messiah awakens at Egypt. He awakens in the pyramids. But this is not Jesus Christ. If you look on his forehead, he has a pyramid and he has the all-seeing eye. To some,
now what can you say about that? Well, that's like the Illuminati is suggested evil, and there's nothing about Jesus Christ. So why would Jesus Christ have the all-seeing eye of Illuminati on his head? Why would they suggest that? Then why would they put the channel up a second time like we don't think you are hearing us or seeing what we're showing you?
This could be the Antichrist. This could be some other god altogether that they are going to say is the Messiah. Or this could be a god that they go ahead and create. And I'll get into that a little bit later in this video.
Now, mind you, CERN, Project Bluebeam, the Hadron Collider, the Ice Cube neutrino detector, the portal, the symbolic portholes, the music, it seems to all tied in. The discoveries, the archaeological discovery, like is going on. Drone, the UFO sightings, the UAB sightings, the orbs, the drones that don't even seem like they're made by us. They look like they're, because there's what I believe is the Soviet Union, the Russian military blasting at a drone and it has no on it.
But after I saw this animation that was created 12 years ago, I said to myself, this is exactly what I was thinking. We're going to go ahead and see a major psyop play out involving Egypt and the pyramids. They're going to go ahead and say they discovered something they discover will be absolutely earth-shattering. A couple weeks after I had watched this animation and had these...
me and my been together 24 years. You know what I'm saying? And I've never said this to her. This 24 years in. I told her the other day, and I'm not saying it wasn't going on 24 years ago. I'm just saying it's become almost blatantly obvious that something is happening. I don't know what, but between the pandemic, the UFO sightings, like I said, the discoveries, as far as they said they discovered more pyramids in Alaska, I believe in Antarctica. Now they're underneath the pyramid in Giza. And it's supposed to be the main pyramid. And I'm not even going to tell you what they found yet because it's coming up. But like I said, man, something fishy's going on. And I told my lady the other day, and in 24 years, I've never told her something is up for sure. This is the one I'm telling her, like, yo, I think something's on,
discussions. Guess what now coming out from different news media agencies? Take, for example, this one here from The Sun, which was published on April 15th. Tomb of Christ. Brit shares proof he found Jesus' tomb and Ark of the Covenant in Great Pyramid, as he demands cave be thrown open.
That's me, driving through the...
All right, guys, you heard that, right?
New vacation home, newly expanded business. I know what you're thinking. This only happens in dreams.
The tomb of Jesus Christ, they said.
Actually, it happened for me with help from a Wells Fargo Premier team.
Ready to meet the dream team? You can with Wells Fargo.
Hypori is a highly secure virtual mobile operating system accessible from any...
Includes Dr. Warner,
an archaeologist from the Supreme Council of Antiquity.
That's them walking underneath the tomb. I mean, walking under the Giza, the one that's believed hold secrets. I forget what's the name of that particular pyramid.
Antiquities, electricians, security, and other support staff. Presentations to the Egyptian government were immediately received with enthusiasm and proved that the Golden Ark of the Covenant, the altar of incense, and the tent of meeting are located in a second twin subterranean chamber under the Great
This is serious stuff, man.
Pyramid of Egypt.
What are the odds that an animation 12 years ago where they're showing us all these psyops and how we're being played by the government would show us at the very end a Jesus-like Messiah awakening at the pyramids, and now we're getting news coming out that Jesus may indeed be inside the Great Pyramids. The article continues.
How does he make the connection? You know, I wonder if he's somewhere like, I'm not trying to like, if I did my top 10 channels, he definitely, both of his channels would be in my top 10. You know, there's quite a few of you guys are going to do a top 10 channels. You know, big shout out to Deal. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out, you know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Voyager, Business Basics. You know what I'm saying? And big shout out to Safari and Second Safari.
Needs to say that Christ's tomb is said to lie alongside the Ark of the Covenant in a hidden double cave sealed off by a huge stone block. Dr. Paul Warner handed his evidence about the site to the Egyptian authorities, who were apparently delighted by the scientific revolution. The researcher has zeroed in on a particular tunnel beneath the great landmark called the Southern Passageway. The article goes on to say that he claims his survey have discovered man-made structures beyond the final stone block, and this is all reportedly backed up by photos and video footage from the deepest and most remote part of the original pyramid structure, which is carved out of the bedrock itself.
You see that yellow triangle? You know, I forgot what they in the room before it. That's a big find also. But they're saying that that triangle is something that they could tell there's another room that they believe to be the last room, and it's supposed to be, well, they believe it could be the tomb of Jesus. Now, about me, if I believe it, I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't do with that.
Warner has poured over the theory for 10 years and claims to have supported it with fieldwork in Egypt and scans of the pyramid, which is quite funny because this kind of plays into the news we had received about 3 weeks ago, where other scientists and researchers believed that there were these massive structures beneath the pyramids, to the point that they believe that there is an entire city lurking beneath the pyramids. This is Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam's more advanced version of the false stage alien invasion, because the theory does include historical discoveries, religious artifacts being found, new ones. If you don't believe me, listen to this part of the article. It goes on to say that, further, Warner believes the pyramid is where Jesus delivered his Sermon on the Mount. Warner has lofty ambitions for his discovery, which he believes even has the potential to bring peace in the Middle East. The timing of all this is absolutely crazy. They're finding all these new discoveries, these new pharaohs we've never heard of before, new pyramids, new...
I mean, I would love peace, but I don't want to let me or trick me or fool me, because I want peace so bad that, you know, I let them fool me. It's something I desire tremendously. You know, just like I desire to end world hunger, like I desire every, you know, that's functional enough to have, you know, because there's some about they want to be out there like that. You know, people say nobody wants to, you know, you're wrong. There's some people so wild that, you know, because of narcotics, they'll be all the time. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. You know, but what I'm saying is I want it to where people are okay everywhere. You know, the right amount of clothing, the right amount of food, where everybody will be okay. And I know that's kind of people saying, what you want, a perfect world? Yeah. You know, but not from all the people that's up. I see people suffer. You know, people don't understand. I'm out there more people understand. You know, I don't know if because I, you know, I articulate myself pretty, can't see me in the mix like that. But I was in the mix, man. You know, and yeah, I'd like to say that is tomb. and if the second and hunger and all this and that. But you're finding where he was buried, not finding him, so how, like, you would anyway, like I said, I have a grander plot, and they're trying to nail it when it comes to revealing it. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Artifacts. And now they're saying that they found Jesus in a lost city under the pyramids of Giza. And this is all going to play into that 2030 agenda. But here's my theory. They're not going to find this Messiah of theirs inside the pyramid. They are going to go ahead and place this Messiah inside the pyramid. This is going to be something they created through robotics, AI, and AGI. Then they're going to go ahead and lie and say they discovered this Messiah inside the pyramids. It had awoken and claimed to be the Messiah. It claims to be Jesus Christ. Then they're going to go ahead and use this AI Messiah of theirs to bring in and usher in this one world government. While to some, this theory may sound crazy, this theory may sound nuts, this Project Bluebeam 2.0.
Did you see that robot? That robot looked crazy. He was kicking. It looked like he was twitching.
Oh, let's not forget, a week ago, they released this news article, how they found
that picture is so beautiful. I don't know what I guess it's the structures. It's just a really amazing picture. This structure right here, where I think the nose is broken, but this is just, it's amazing. I would, for a world not be so, now planes are having trouble. When you go into it, not safe almost. And we're talking about any foreigner that is known as a foreigner. They might, side on since you're, and it's just, I'm on traveling right now. I hope the day comes that it would be safe to travel anywhere. But, that's not today.
Garden of the Pyramids. So with all these new Egyptian discoveries,
they said it was in Mesopotamia, but now they're saying it was in the shade of the Giza pyramid.
It sounds like and of course when I say they, I'm talking about the so-called powers that be. They are working on a narrative. They are working on an agenda. Reading this article here, which was published by the New York Post on, around the same time as everything else, these other discoveries, April 9th, this article goes on to say, holy plot twist, a provocative new theory suggests that the original Garden of Eden may not have been in Mesopotamia, roughly modern-day Iraq, as has long been assumed, but rather in Egypt, under the towering shadow of the much older Great Pyramid of Giza. This doctor, a computer engineer, is shaking up biblical geography with a study published in the journal Archaeological Discovery, claiming the famed paradise where Adam and Eve once frolicked may have flourished on Egyptian soil. Why is
once frolicked
all of this happening at one time? Why is all this coming out at one time? And some will see it as a distraction, but
I picture people frolicking, and
but I see this as the narrative bigger. With that being said, let's go ahead and listen to some of these AI tech giants talk about AI. Does anybody remember Jordan Peterson?
I used frolicking in the prompt that I used to create the Trump and Elon pictures. That's why in the other video, if you see the picture that I use in the background, it's funny.
Interviewing Elon Musk, and he said this. Matter of fact, this kind of rubbed Jordan Peterson the wrong way.
So the first thing I'd like to say is that it's ridiculous exciting to be here.
I didn't see this yet.
You're most welcome to be here.
This is quite the amazing place, and I've been preparing to talk to you for a long time. So I'm really looking forward to it. You said something that caught me right away when we were discussing various issues just before we started. You said you were till 4 a.m.
Yeah, so, actually a little more like 5 a.m.
Okay.
So we got the XAI data center or supercomputer center training, beginning installation to start of training 19, which is the fastest that anyone has ever gotten a supercomputer to train.
And is that a new building?
Number two, you guys got to understand Willow and Sycamore. Those are the quantum computers, but they're not full-blown quantum computers. I believe that the processor, the chip, is a quantum chip, but what they're going to be able to technology. This is why I always tell my people on Facebook, listen to me when I talk about quantum. People, it's almost to the point where people are joke out of it, but that's because they haven't seen it in action. Once they start to make the full-blown quantum, if you've seen what Sycamore and Willow could do,
That's in Memphis, actually.
It's in Memphis.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's where you were?
Yeah.
I see.
Of ancient Egypt.
Right. Yeah. You're bringing what? Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah, I wish that was funny. I want to talk to you about a.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look.
Now, some people may believe that he's from Memphis, Tennessee, but there's always that form of doublespeak there. But he's not the only one. Look at this article, which was published by Futurism on November 15th, 2023. Sam Altman seems to imply that OpenAI is building God. And it goes on to say that ever since becoming CEO of OpenAI in 2019, co-founder Sam Altman has made the company's #1 mission to build an artificial general intelligence that is both safe and can benefit all of humanity. And while we haven't really come to an agreement on what would actually count as AGI, Altman's own vision remains as lofty as it is vague. And it goes on to say that, take this new interview with Financial Times, where Altman dished on the upcoming GPT-5 and described AGI as a magic intelligence in the sky, which sounds an awful a lot like he's implying his company.
Right now, ChatGPT uses GPT-4, I believe, and there's even like a GP3 or a GPT-3. But know the full, like I said, if I don't know, I say it. I don't know the full definition of upgrading from GPT-4 to GPT-5. I don't know what the implications are. Let me let them keep going.
Is building a god. OpenAI's own definition of AGI is a system that outperforms.
Now remember, this goes to Terminator 3. So any of the people from the generation that Terminator 3 weren't of that, in Terminator 1, they send back the Terminator. Terminator 2, we liquid Terminator. And in Terminator 3, the computers become self-aware. So just if you're trying to figure out what's this about, they're trying to make an AI that can benefit humanity, but people are saying that with quantum AI, the computers can actually become self-aware and make decisions based on greater good, and that can be bad, because if they think the greater good is starting over, they start firing the missiles. You get what I'm saying? So, but let's just keep listening.
Most humans at most economically valuable work, far more down-to-earth description of what amounts to an omnipotent superintelligence for Altman. So while the company is saying that this is just to replace humans at the workforce, Altman is saying it's God. Now, not everybody will worship or want to worship a AI, a computer program, but many may be tricked into.
Matter is what makes it devilish, to talk like that, to talk about the replacement of God. That's very offensive to anybody that has a religion. I would guess.
Now, not everybody will worship or want a AI, a computer program, but many may be tricked into believing they're worshiping Jesus Christ. This also really does reek of the Antichrist. But Altman has alluded to the fact isn't the creating God, an AI engineer working on large language models, told Vanity Fair in September. We're creating conscious machines. Sam Altman is also one of the tech giants, along with Larry Ellison, behind the most powerful AI program ever, Project Portal or Project Stargate. Even the way Larry Ellison talks about projects.
Yeah, for people who don't know about Stargate, that's a big project.
Stargate talks about it in a way that it'll do all these miracles. It'll cure diseases and so forth.
In Texas already, and we'll be turning them over.
That's the quantum. They're saying that quantum computing, quantum. I mean, there's a lot of different quantums, because it's like applied quantum and magnify, multiply how, things are, how accurate it is. Like if you a surgery that they do now, computing, quantum this, quantum amplify the surgery success by 25 times. That's the best way I could explain it for now. So say stuff like this, they're talking about quantum without it being mentioned.
To Sam to start training their next model. The data we already built, largest computer ever. The data center we're building will surpass it and be the belt which enables this AI, which will allow personalized medicine. This is going to touch all of it. Yes, it takes a huge.
I'm surprised he hasn't said quantum yet.
But the result of the investment will be vaccines that prevent cancers, personalized medicine, where we never again run into a problem like COVID-19 before. We get an early warning. We know when COVID starts, when there are a handful of patients, rather than having to wait until it's become an epidemic and very difficult to control. This is a very large investment that affects all of humanity.
See, when he said like that, it's easy to sell. And imagine if it's really nothing about that, that it's all about some sort of dastardly plan, and this is selling point. That's what I'm trying to say to you guys.
Can I ask the three of you just really quickly to get a sense of...
And if you think about it, what is Stargate? If you remember the 1994 movie Stargate, it had to do with an Egyptian god, the Egyptian god Ra, coming through the Stargate. But these are a few examples. There are many other examples where it sounds like these tech giants are creating God through
I keep telling my lady, I told my wife, I think they have encountered a porthole, at least one porthole already. And that's what I think is the changer. I think that, or if it hasn't actually been cracked, that they think they can crack it. Something to that effect.
AI. And now, as coincidence may have it, we're getting news coming out on top of all these discoveries coming out of the pyramids. Now they may have found Jesus. Does anybody remember that news that came out back in 2024, how a church created a AI Jesus? If that's not predictive programming, I don't know what is.
At the 300-year-old St. Peter's Chapel in Lucerne, Switzerland, inside this confessional booth is an AI-generated version of Jesus Christ.
Hello, Jesus.
A lifelike avatar on a computer screen, answering questions in real.
This is when it gets too much. This is when I don't know, like I'm not uptight, so I'm not, go, do something about it. Not where I'm at with this. I think that this is silly, and maybe even a little bit beyond silly. Maybe, not me, but some people are gonna be offended.
Offering advice to the faithful based on scripture in over 100 languages.
Let kindness and compassion
And there might be a group of people out there that actually need this in their life.
steer your course.
It's called Deus in Machina, or God in the Machine, and was developed by a Swiss expert using OpenAI's GPT-4o. The idea, the chapel's theologian said, is to explore the limits of human trust in technology.
Many people came to talk with him. There were young people, older people. People really talked with him in a serious way.
I came here as
it's wild.
A registered nurse with an associate's degree, but since I've been here.
The experience comes with instructions and a disclaimer not to share personal information, but the church said most had a positive experience.
Topics like relationship, love, topics like about God, they ask him what to do.
The virtual generating debate and controversy worldwide.
This is not sacramental. This truly is just sacrilegious. This is ridiculous.
For a big conversation around the role of AI in religion.
The church's theologian says this AI Jesus was never meant to replace a priest, but instead to get people thinking about the
I knew religious people were going to get a little some of them were going to get upset.
Digital and the divine.
So, Kelly, we know this is in that particular church. Is there a chance it could spread to others?
It's possible. I mean, this church says that it was a huge success for them. Had people fill out questionnaires after using the avatar. About 300 people responded. 200 of them, the church said, having a very positive experience. And not only that, they say they've had interest from parishes, school teachers, and others, not just in Switzerland, but around the world. So the question for them now is whether they can turn this pilot project into something more permanent. They say one big advantage is that this avatar can be available 24/7, whereas a parish priest may not be. So maybe some sort of avatar on call, spiritual guidance on call.
But Jesus is also available 24/7, Kelly, but we went into that. All right.
Thank you, Kelly.
I like the real thing. All right, Al, what you got?
The bright side, we're talking about Jesus. That's a bad thing.
Not at all.
Some may say that I'm going way too overboard, that this video is craziness, but this stuff is not coming from me. I'm just putting the puzzle pieces together. I did not make the puzzle pieces. There is also something else to note towards the end of iPad Go 2 as well. As this Jesus-like Messiah is staring at the pyramids, something is shot out of the skies and it hits the pyramids, and the pyramids begin to crumble. And this to me represents that alien war between their created Messiah and their created aliens. What again we see from Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam is all about this fake stage alien invasion, and this Messiah is supposed to step in and stop this invasion, and we are supposed to worship this Messiah. And this, again, is supposed to unite all the governments around the world. But again, we're not looking at Project Bluebeam here, but something far more advanced. Project Bluebeam is the older defunct project. Let us also not forget we had Geordie Rose saying this.
So I'm the president of the United States. So I received this message from the heavens. So my microwave dish, my SETI dish finally captures something. And what it says is, in 50 years or 13 years, we're coming to your planet. You got to be ready. Now just imagine what would happen if that happened. A super intelligent alien race beamed down on all of us Earthlings saying, we're coming July 13th, 2030, and boy, you better be ready because the mothership is landing right on the front lawn of the White House or wherever you wanted to land on that day. The amount of resources that would be marshaled to try to figure out what to do would encompass the whole world. AI is just like that. So when this thing that I'm talking about happens, it's going to be exactly the thing that you're thinking about those super intelligent AIs. So the one thing I can tell you is they're not going to be like us. So alien means, different. These things that we're building are not going to be people. They might be really smart, be really good at all sorts of different things, but they're not going to be like us. They're going to be alien. And they're going to be, I'm sorry to say, way smarter than every single person in this room in ways that we can't even comprehend. So this, of course, triggers a lot of alarm. One works out that way. So this is an attitude that some are having, this emerging.
Okay, real quick, as this guy to be a good person and sincere, be saying to us we're gonna have other forms, artificial intelligent life forms around, robotic, that can help with everything. As much as I want to believe that, I look at this guy, right, and I look like he's the spokesperson for the biggest lie ever. Now, that's my instinct. That's my contemplation. That doesn't mean it is a fact. It doesn't mean that I'm anywhere close. I'm just telling you, this guy is making he's telling us that they're going to make things smarter than us to cohabit or inhabit the earth with us. And that them being smarter and they're robotic, they might be stronger. We don't got nothing to worry about. This is literally iRobot with Will Smith coming to life.
Alarmism about the way this is going to go. But these words, demon, doesn't capture the essence of what's happening here. I don't know if any of our turn of the century weird fiction fans, but there's a guy named H.P. Lovecraft, who's a very famous weird fiction author. And he espoused a view which is called cosmicism. And the essence of cosmicism is cosmic indifference. So what he's saying is basically, yes, there are these massively intelligent entities out there, but they're not evil. They just don't give a shit about you even in the slightest. The same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons. They're not evil. But they're more like the Lovecraftian great old ones. There are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want. So this transition is really, really massively important for our entire species to navigate. And
thank you so much for watching. If you this channel, anyone.
Yo, what do you guys think about everything? Let me make sure I already hit him with the thumbs up. All right, you guys tell me what you think about everything you just heard. Please, you've heard me speak enough about what I felt. You heard the narrator, you heard everything in the video. Drop a comment. You gotta be that takes a second to process, It's your boy Spank Dog. Much love on, you know what I'm saying? To each other, man. In case we need each other, help your neighbor, and this is sincere. I'm no fraud, you know what I'm saying? Good person and care about his honor and being in God's good graces and not no robotic God. It's your boy Spank Dog. Much love.